What is up, lovers of budget cars and bikes? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to a product review. Now, we don't do a lot of these kind of things, but now and again something will come along that I think I can advise you guys on and give you some kind of tips and tricks, and something that I've used and I find really helpful. I've done a whole thing about all the tools I use to do my cars and bikes and stuff. I'll stick a link up here somewhere for that. And I did a review on the RST boots as well, I think, something like that. And there's a couple of others on the channel. We don't do a lot of reviews, as I said, but now and again something will come along that I think, now that's bloody useful, and I want to share it with you guys and let you know my thoughts on it. And this is one of those products. Now, this is the Topdon Bt100 battery tester pack that I've been sent out. Now, full disclosure, this was sent out to me to review, but you know, if you know anything about my channel, you'll know that I won't just tell you it's brilliant if I think it's garbage. I will give you a full, honest review of what I think of it, what it's done for me, you know, how it works, if it works, and whether you should buy one, or if there's actually something better out there for the money. So, you know, don't take it that, you know, just because this was sent out for as a review pack, as it were, that I'm just going to lie about it and tell you to go and buy it. I don't get paid for that. You know, as I said, full disclosure, this was a freebie sent out by a company on eBay. Now, they were kind enough to send this out to me, and it arrived within about 2 days. And it's a company called Day by Day, not B-Y, that's Day, B-U-Y, Day. And I'll stick a link in the description for this as well, or I might put it in the top right-hand corner. They've been incredibly helpful and really polite. I believe they've got warehouses here in the UK, so when you buy from them, from the link down below, or if you want to just Google them yourselves, if you buy from them, you will receive it within a couple of days. It's not like, I mean, not everything we buy pretty much these days comes from China, but they've obviously got warehouses here in the UK where they've got plenty of stock, and you'll receive it within a couple of days. Now, these come in at around about 40 quid, I believe. That is with free postage. And they do have an upgraded or an uprated version of this as well, called the Bt200. As you can see, this is the Bt100 12 volts. The Bt200 is a 12 and 24 volt one as well, and it's got slightly stronger clamps. And if they send one of those out, then obviously we'll have a look at that as well. But in the meantime, we're going to unpack this and see what we've got, and I'll tell you why I need one of these. Straight off the bat then, guys, as you can see, we've got this out of the box, and we have got a very concise instruction manual here as well, in all sorts of different languages. Now, normally you'll get one of these little kind of booklets that's in Chinese and you can't read it, and even if it's in English, the writing's so small you can't actually read it anyway, especially if you're a man of a certain age like me. But this looks to be incredibly thick and well done. You know, it's all sorts of languages. You get all sorts in here as well. It's all about the operation, the technical stuff, the warranty, all that kind of stuff. If you want to read through that, please feel free to do that when yours arrives. Me being a typical bloke, I probably won't read it, but this, from what I've seen, is incredibly intuitive anyway. Now, I'm not going to be able to turn this on inside the house, because it actually takes its power from your battery, as it were. So when we go out to the car in a minute, I will show you all the displays and everything else. Now, this will do AGM batteries, it will do EFB batteries, and it'll also do the new gel batteries as well, which is fantastic. So, you know, no matter what battery you've got, this will test that out for you. And it will test out things like your battery health. You know, if you've got a battery in your car that's, you know, running, you know, slow to crank, that kind of stuff, it will test the cranking, it will test the charge rate, it will test the alternator as well to make sure your battery is actually receiving a charge. And it, as I said, it will check the battery health, which is incredibly useful. So from the front, as you can see, you've got your little display up here. Would have been nice to see colour, but obviously this is only about 40 quid, so you know, you get what you pay for in that respect. But it does actually feel quite solid in your hand, and as you can see, it fits perfectly in your hand. On the back side, we've just got some technical gumph going on over here as well, and these clamps as well. I was quite impressed with that. You know, they're really robust, these clamps. They're not just those kind of cheap, nasty ones that you would expect to see at this kind of price point. So that's a nice surprise. Now, for me, I can't work out. I mean, I've got one, as I'm sure we've all got one in our toolboxes. I've got a voltmeter, multimeter upstairs in my toolbox. Never quite worked out how to use it. Bought it because I thought, well, that'll come in handy one day. Never really worked out which setting goes to what and what I'm supposed to test, etc., etc. Now, this negates that whole kind of need to use a multimeter. I mean, if you know how to use one and you've got one, you probably don't need this. But I still think it would be bloody useful because, you know, as I said, it will check your battery health, the alternator to make sure the alternator it's providing current to the battery to charge it. It'll test the crank and it'll test the charge rate as well. So, you know, your multimeter might not do all of that. And as you can see at the front of here, we've got a good, a charge and a bad. Now when we put this in the car in a minute, you'll see these light up as we do our tests. Obviously that's pretty evident what that's all about there. If you've got a good battery, or you need to charge your battery, or if your battery is toast in that respect. So that's pretty easy to work out for yourselves there. It does come in a multitude of languages as well. As I said, when we get some power into this, you'll see that you can choose your language, which is again very, very useful. Obviously we're doing this for the UK market, so we'll just set it to English, but it just means that no matter where you are in the world, you've probably got a language you can change to work it out for you guys. And the reason why this is going to be so incredibly useful for me is because of the RAV4 that we've had for over 10 years now. I've changed the battery in that twice now, thinking that there's a battery problem, and within a year or so the battery starts to get a little bit weak. Now it is a 21-year-old car, which obviously isn't ideal, but I don't want this having that problem again where the charge in the battery only lasts for about a week and then it starts to be hard to crank. And I was going to think about buying another battery. Now this is going to save me having to do that. Now I'll pay 40 quid for this, or I can pay 40 quid for a battery, but if it's not the battery, it's good money after bad, isn't it really? So this now enables me to work out whether there's a problem with my alternator, whether there's a problem with my battery, whether there's a problem with the cranking of the car generally speaking, or what's going on. Because as I said, this display up here will tell us, when we go through it in a minute, it'll all become very, very obvious. It'll tell us exactly what's going on. We can perform 2 or 3 tests to work out what's going on with the battery in this RAV4. Is it not holding a charge? Is it the alternator that needs replacing? Is there something else underlying that needs doing? Or is it just a case of, as I said, just quickly changing the battery every couple of years? Because we live in a throwaway society now anyway, so that wouldn't surprise me. But this will let me test that. And it obviously also works on motorcycles, it works on boats, anything that's a 12-volt battery basically, you can check it out. So you don't have to go and waste your money buying another battery when you think that there's something wrong with it. This will tell you straight away whether there's a problem with the alternator, whether there's a problem with the battery, or if it's something else underlying. You might remember the Ducati Multistrada I had a little while back. I bought another battery for that because that was slow to crank. Now that was just a quirk of the Ducatis, as we all know, but I went out and spent 40 quid on a battery, which I didn't need to do. Now if I'd had this, I could have just clamped it on there, seen what the crank voltage was, done the charge test, an alternator test, a battery health test, and it would have told me I didn't need a battery. So, you know, I spent £40 on a battery when I could have bought this for 40 quid and kept it for all sorts of other projects as well. Anyway, let's not chat about this too much longer. Let's get out to the car. I'll stick you on a tripod and we will look and see exactly what's going on with my battery in a real world test. Now this isn't, as I said, just one of these things where I'll say go out and buy this, it's fantastic. We're going to use this on a car that has a problem with its battery, and this is going to tell us what that problem is and what we need to do, whether we need to buy a new battery or whether we need to change the alternator, or if it's something else. So hang on a minute and we'll just pop outside and I'll set you up on the tripod and we'll do a real word test. Alright guys, I wanted to try something just ever so quickly before we go out to do the car. I've got a motorcycle battery here that's been sat in my room for probably the last couple of months, so I don't imagine it's got any battery in it whatsoever. So I thought I'd quickly grab this little tester and show you what's going on in here and what we can see here. Now it says 9.44 volts. We're going to just quickly press enter. We're going to do a battery test because obviously as it's just sitting up here on the shelf at the moment, there's not very much else we can see. So we'll just hit the battery test button. It's a regular flooded battery, yes. Now the CCA, it says clearly on there that it's a 230 CCA. So again, we just press enter and enter because I've already put those values in. It says power too low. And basically whether to continue. I'm going to say yes, and it's going to test it. Now I just wanted to see what this does on a completely flat battery that's been sitting for a couple of months. Real world test, as it were. Test it before we charge it, and then what we're going to do is I'm going to charge it up with the battery charger I've got, and then we're going to test it again so we can see what it's like on a motorcycle battery, and we're obviously going to do it on the car battery as a live test as well with the cranks and the alternator and stuff. So battery health 1, the charge is 0, not very good, and it's basically saying there in the middle excuse me, charge. So we're going to finish this test and we are going to put it on charge, and then we're going to test it again just to show you what it looks like on a motorcycle battery. So the little motorcycle battery that we just tested, which had absolutely nothing in it and we don't know very much about, we tested it with the Topdon Bt100, and it basically just told us it was completely dead and had no power in it whatsoever. So we've charged it up, and now we're going to connect it back up and see what it's going to tell us about this unknown battery. So bear with me just 1 second while we get the Topdon going, and we'll see exactly where we are. So let's check out this battery tester again. We'll just press enter. A regular flooded battery. The CCA should be exactly the same, 230, yep. And let's see what this testing does now we've charged this battery up. It'll be interesting to see, because I don't know anything about this battery, and it's a little motorcycle battery, so it'll be interesting to see, as I said, what the situation is. Now, it's basically come back and said that the battery is bad. Replace your battery. 3% health, 100% charge, but it is toast. So that's really good to know, because if you've got a dodgy battery on your bike and you weren't sure whether it was the battery or something else, this, by the looks of it, is basically telling me this battery is toast and to replace it. So let's hope that that is actually accurate. Let's pop outside and we'll see what the battery situation is on the RAV4 as well. Alright, so now we're out in the carport with the RAV4, which has got some battery issues that we know about. We just don't know what the battery issues are. And with this new Topdon, we're going to find out exactly what is going on. Essentially, it's been losing its charge every 5 to 7 days, and I don't know if it's the alternator, some kind of cranking issue, or if it's actually the battery. So with a bit of luck, we're going to connect this up now, and we're going to find out exactly what it tells us and what the problem is. So we're connected up. As you can see, the Topdon has come into life, which it will do as soon as you connect it to a battery, because it doesn't actually have any internal battery. So we're going to go into the enter button rather, just do a basic battery test before we do anything else. It's a regular flooded battery. I've already set the CCA to 330, which is for this battery, and we'll give it a quick test here. It only takes maybe 10 seconds to actually test it and tell you what's going on, and we have just fully charged this battery, so it'll be interesting to see. Now it's telling me the battery's good. The health of the battery is only 57% though, but it's telling me the charge is 100, which is perfect because I just fully charged it. So now we're going to exit here and effectively do a cranking test. See what the cranking test tells us. You have about 30 seconds to get in the car and start it up once you press the enter button, so bear with me on this. It says start engine. As you can see, the clock's counting down. Okay, well, as you can see from the cranking test there, it says the cranking's low. I'm not actually sure exactly what that means. I'll have to Google that, because as you know, guys, I'm not a mechanic, but it does say the cranking is low. So we know the battery's good, according to this, or the battery charge is good, but the health of the battery is at 57%, so it could be the battery still. So we'll exit here and we'll do our next test, which is a charge test, and see what that tells us. As you can see, it's actually going to do what's called a ripple test, which will tell us if the alternator is actually charging the battery, which is exactly what I wanted to know. Okay, we're going to have to increase the revs to 2,500 for 5 seconds. So now we've done the 2,500 revs for 5 seconds, we'll give it another little test as it's asked us to. Charging is normal. Right, so it's not the alternator then. From what I can see, let me just turn this car off a sec, guys. So we've done all the tests that we need to do. The cranking is low. The battery health, it says, is 57%, which isn't ideal. And it says the charging is normal, which basically tells me that the alternator is not at fault here, so I don't have to change that. I'm not sure if there are any other tests we can do. Maybe we review data and see what that tells us. Okay, well, it's telling me, it's interesting. It's telling me it's got a good battery now, but the health is only 57%. So I'm not quite sure how that tells me what I need to know. Okay, well, there is a slight bit of confusion on this, I will be honest, as I said with this review. It's telling me the battery is good. I've just done a quick, if we get out of here, I've done a review basically on everything we've done. We've done a battery test, the crank test, the charging test, and now we're going to review all of that. It's telling me the charge is at 100%, which it should be. I've just charged it to 100%. It's telling me that the battery is only at 57% health, and the cranking was low. So I would take that to mean that the battery is in poor health. It's 50% of its, full cycle of health in that respect. But it's telling me that the charge rate was good as well. I hope you saw that just now. So it's not the alternator. It's more than likely the battery. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that 57% there. If that drops below 50, I'm going to buy a new battery. Anyway, that's it for this one. I hope this video has been of some use to you. And if you haven't got one of these, I really would recommend getting one. They're only about 40 quid, 39 quid, something something like that. I'll drop a link in the description. And as I said, if you fix cars, you like doing little projects on bikes, anything like that, anything to do with a 12-volt battery, this is a really, really good little tool to have in your arsenal, as it were, because you can test stuff out in minutes as opposed to getting multimeters out or calling out RAC or anything like that. You know within minutes exactly what's going on. And as I said, I hope that's been of some interest to you guys. If you haven't subscribed, please consider doing that. Give the video a thumbs up and share it if you would. That's awesome if you could do that. And as I said, I hope you enjoyed the video and it's been of some help to you. All right, take care, and thanks for watching.